Ancient Egypt, a land of mighty pharaohs and towering pyramids, a civilization steeped in tradition, ruled by gods and rituals passed down through generations. The grandeur of its monuments and the complexity of its culture have fascinated historians and archaeologists for centuries. Yet even in this land of ancient beliefs, a young pharaoh dared to challenge the very fabric of his world. His vision was bold, his ambition unparalleled. His name was Akhenaten, born Amenhotep IV, and his reign in the 18th dynasty would mark one of the most radical and controversial periods in Egyptian history. His ideas would ripple through time, leaving an indelible mark on the annals of history. Akhenaten ascended the throne in the 14th century BC, a time when Egypt was at the height of its power and influence. He inherited a kingdom steeped in the worship of many gods, a pantheon led by the powerful god Amun. The priests of Amun held immense power, both spiritually and politically. But Akhenaten envisioned something different for Egypt. He saw a future where the divine was unified, where the people worshipped a single, all-encompassing deity. He dreamt of a single, all-encompassing God, a God of light and creation. This God was not hidden in the shadows of temples, but visible to all, shining down from the heavens. This God was the Aten, symbolized by the sun disk. The Aten represented life, light, and the creative force of the universe. Akhenaten's vision was not merely a philosophical musing, it was a call to action, a revolution that would shake the very foundations of Egyptian society. He sought to transform the religious landscape of Egypt completely. It was a call to action, a revolution that would shake the very foundations of Egyptian society. He moved the capital to a new city, Akhetaten, dedicated to the Aten. He would attempt to replace the age-old polytheistic beliefs with the worship of a single god, a concept as alien to the Egyptians as it was audacious. The priests of Amun and other deities saw their power threatened and resisted fiercely. His reign would become a tug-of-war between the old ways and the new, a struggle between tradition and radical change. The conflict was not just religious, but also political and social, affecting every aspect of Egyptian life. This is the story of Akhenaten, the pharaoh who dared to challenge the gods themselves. His legacy is a testament to the power of vision and the enduring struggle between innovation and tradition. From the moment he ascended the throne, Akhenaten made it clear that his reign would be unlike any other. He began by slowly elevating the Aten, the sun disk, above all other gods. Temples were constructed in the Aten's honor, and hymns were composed praising its glory. This was a radical departure from Egyptian tradition. For centuries, the pharaohs had paid homage to a multitude of gods. Amun, the king of the gods, held a place of particular prominence. But Akhenaten saw the Aten as the one true God, the source of all life and creation, who changed his own name from Amenhotep IV, meaning Amun is satisfied, to Akhenaten, meaning effective for the Aten. This symbolic act sent a clear message: the old gods were being cast aside, replaced by the radiant power of the Aten. The sun, in all its life-giving glory, became the central focus of Akhenaten's new religion. He saw the Aten not as a distant deity, but as a benevolent force accessible to all. This marked a significant shift in the Egyptians' relationship with the divine. No longer were the gods seen as intermediaries, accessible only through priests and rituals. Instead, the Aten's light shone on everyone equally. Akhenaten's religious reforms went far beyond simply promoting the worship of the Aten. He was determined to erase the influence of the old gods, particularly the powerful Amun. This meant dismantling the established religious order, a move that would have profound consequences. Across Egypt, temples dedicated to the traditional gods were closed. The priests, once powerful figures in Egyptian society, were stripped of their authority. Their temples, once bustling with activity, fell silent. The rituals and offerings that had been a part of Egyptian life for centuries were abruptly halted. Imagine the upheaval, the sense of disorientation, as the rhythms of daily life were disrupted. The gods who had always protected Egypt, who had ensured the cycle of the Nile and the fertility of the land, were seemingly abandoned. The people were left to grapple with the uncertainty of a world without their familiar deities. Akhenaten's actions were not driven by malice but by an unwavering belief in his vision. He saw the worship of the Aten as a pure form of religion, untainted by the complexities and compromises of the old ways. His conviction was absolute, and he pursued his reforms with a zeal that alienated as much as it inspired. Section 4. A city rises from the sands. Akhenaten's break from the past extended beyond the realm of religion. His vision was revolutionary, aiming to reshape not just spiritual beliefs but the very fabric of Egyptian society. He decided to abandon Thebes, the ancient capital of Egypt, and build a new city dedicated to the Aten. This decision was unprecedented and marked a significant shift in the cultural and political landscape of the time. This city, known as Akhetaten, meaning horizon of the Aten, would serve as a physical manifestation of his religious ideals. It was to be a place where the divine and the earthly could coexist in harmony. The site chosen for Akhetaten was a desolate stretch of desert near the modern city of el-Amarna. This barren land was untouched by the presence of the old gods, making it the perfect canvas for Akhenaten's new vision. Here, on virgin land untouched by the presence of the old gods, Akhenaten's vision would take shape. The isolation of the site symbolized a fresh start, free from the shadows of the past. Construction began on a grand scale. Thousands of workers were mobilized to bring Akhenaten's dream to life, transforming the barren desert into a bustling city. Temples, palaces and residences rose from the sand, all bathed in the brilliant light of the Aten. The architecture was designed to reflect the new religious focus with open spaces and sunlit courtyards. Akhetaten was a city unlike any other in Egypt. Its design and purpose were revolutionary, breaking away from the traditional norms of Egyptian urban planning. Its temples were open to the sky, allowing the Aten's rays to penetrate every corner. This openness was a stark contrast to the enclosed, dark temples of the past, symbolizing transparency and divine presence. The city's layout was spacious and airy, a stark contrast to the cramped and labyrinthine streets of Thebes. Wide streets and open plazas encouraged a sense of community and freedom. Akhenaten envisioned Akhetaten as a utopia, a place where the Aten's light would nurture a new society free from the constraints of the past. It was to be a city of enlightenment where art, culture and religion could flourish. The move to Akhetaten was more than just a change of scenery. It was a bold statement of intent, a declaration of independence from the old ways. It was a symbolic break from the past, a way for Akhenaten to distance himself and his followers from the influence of the old gods and the priests who served them. This move was as much about political power as it was about religious reform. In this new city, under the watchful eye of the Aten, a new chapter in Egyptian history would be written. Akhetaten was not just a city, it was a vision of a new world, a testament to the power of faith and the human spirit. Section 5. Art in a Time of Change. The upheaval of Akhenaten's reign was reflected in a most unexpected place, Egyptian art. This period marked a significant departure from the artistic norms that had been in place for centuries. For centuries, Egyptian art had adhered to strict conventions, depicting the human form in a stylized and idealized manner. These conventions were deeply rooted in the culture and religion of ancient Egypt, ensuring that art remained consistent and symbolic. But under Akhenaten, a dramatic shift occurred. This shift was not just a minor change, but a complete transformation in the way art was perceived and created. Art became more naturalistic, more expressive, and some would say even more eccentric. This new style broke away from the rigid and formulaic approach of the past, embracing a more fluid and dynamic representation of life. Akhenaten himself was often depicted in a radically different way. His representations were unlike any other pharaoh before him, challenging the traditional ideals of beauty and power. Instead of the idealized muscular physique of previous pharaohs, he was shown with elongated limbs, a protruding stomach, and an androgynous appearance. This portrayal has sparked much debate among historians and scholars. Some scholars believe these depictions may reflect a real physical condition, while others see it as a deliberate artistic choice, perhaps symbolizing his role as both father and mother to his people. This duality in his representation could also be seen as a reflection of his revolutionary religious beliefs. The art of Amarna, as this period became known, celebrated life in all its forms. It was a vibrant and dynamic era that brought a new level of realism and emotion to Egyptian art. Scenes of the royal family, including Akhenaten's wife Nefertiti and their children, conveyed a sense of intimacy and warmth. These family portraits were unprecedented in their tenderness and detail. Nature, too, was given prominence, with depictions of plants, animals, and the natural world rendered in meticulous detail. This focus on the natural world was a significant departure from the more symbolic and abstract representations of earlier periods. This departure from tradition wasn't limited to royal portraiture. It extended to all aspects of art, including the decoration of tombs and temples. The walls of tombs and temples were adorned with lively scenes of everyday life, musicians playing, dancers swaying, and children playing. These scenes brought a new level of vibrancy and realism to Egyptian art. This newfound realism, combined with the intimate portrayal of the royal family, offered a glimpse into a world rarely seen in Egyptian art. It was a period of artistic innovation and experimentation that left a lasting legacy on the history of art.